Hey, Alvarenga Tours family, how's everyone doing? Today we're here with Charlie. Charlie, how you doing, man?
Jim, unreal. Thanks a
It's
million.
no, thank you for having us here. Listen, this is a beautiful place. We're here at Charlie's place, and this is amazing, by the way. I will share with you mangoes, but I can't share mangoes over the YouTube channel. But man, he has the best mangoes over here. But anyway, we're here with Charlie. Charlie with Schelling Point, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin today. It's a big thing going on in El Salvador and in the world.
Right.
Charlie, what is Schelling Point and what do you do with Bitcoin? Real quick, a quick intro.
Yeah, quick intro. So yeah, Bitcoin is a money. It's money that's being used across the world right now. It's a really good savings vehicle for the long term for people, and it doesn't have anyone that controls it. So there's no bank that controls Bitcoin, which means that you can trust that Bitcoin's rules will always be the same, which is just a really nice thing to know, that if you save Bitcoin right now, it's going to be the same Bitcoin in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Whereas if you're holding your dollars or your euros, that money is going to lose value over time. They keep on making more of it. So that's the main thing about Bitcoin. It's limited to 21 million Bitcoin. There'll never be more. It was invented in 2009 after the great financial crisis. Yeah, because the people, lost a lot of trust in the institutions after the great financial crisis, because there was a big bailout by the government to make sure the banks didn't go down, to keep the system up. So Bitcoin serves as a money across the globe to save in, to even use, like in El Salvador, you can use Bitcoin, and to eventually we'll be able to account in this one money. So Schelling Point, we're a business. We focus on families and organizations, and we make sure that your Bitcoin is in your hands, it's secure, and that you can access it when you need it, and that you have the right protocols in place, which means you have the right paperwork and rules to know how to pass it on to your kids. It's not like a bank account where it's in your name, but it's under a password or 12 words. This password is 12 words, and you just have to manage those 12 words correctly so that your Bitcoin can pass on to your kids or to whoever you want to pass on your Bitcoin when it needs to. And so that your Bitcoin can grow knowing that it's under your control and that you don't have to trust any third party or any intermediary.
Great explanation. But I'm going to jump into it real quick.
Go for it.
Can I trust it? Is it secure? Is it a scam? Is it tied to the stock market? I know it's a whole bunch of questions in one.
Yeah.
But all these questions come to my mind and our audience as well. Is it worth it? Can I trust it? Why should I do it?
Right.
Well, if I have savings in the bank and I'm getting my interest in the bank and I have it, why should I trust Bitcoin?
Well, just have a look at how much interest you're earning and see how and see how much prices are going up in terms of the groceries and houses, and then compare that interest rate with that inflation rate. And at the end of the day, you're going to find that you're actually losing money if you minus that interest rate from the inflation rate. So you might look like you're gaining interest in your bank account or holding those treasuries, but in reality, you're actually losing out by holding money in that bank in dollars. Bitcoin doesn't suffer from inflation, okay? And that's the amazing thing about it. Can you trust it? It's trusted by individuals, companies, nations across the globe. Even the US has 200,000 Bitcoin in their stockpile as a reserve. Even the Trump family, I don't want to use them as like geniuses or as an example, but they have a huge amount of Bitcoin stored themselves, as well as a lot of very wealthy organizations, middle class people, and even people here who are maybe some lower classes. Every type of individual can save in Bitcoin, and the reason why you can trust it is because no one can change the rules of Bitcoin. You can never make more than 21 million Bitcoin. It's the rules that govern Bitcoin are held on computers run by different types of people across the globe. And in order to change those rules, you have to convince everyone to change it. And nobody wants to change it because it's already good enough. So that's what makes it so reliable, is its unchangeability, So that's the beautiful thing. In terms of the stock market, it's similar. It fluctuates like the stock market,
Oh, it does.
It's on the market.
Is it tied to the market?
It's not tied to the market. It's independent. Sometimes it moves like the market, but then it disassociates itself. So recently, during the Iran war, we saw stocks get plummet. We saw gold even go down. We saw all
Right.
sorts of assets go down, while Bitcoin held steady and even went up then. So you can see that it's kind of divergent. It's a great diversification tool for anybody who has all their money in either the S&P or 401k or in index funds or in property. Having money in Bitcoin is different to all of it, and it's under your control. You're not relying on a broker. You don't have to pay property tax the way you have to pay property tax in the States with property. Um, yeah, and you're not relying on any third party.
Excellent, excellent. It's so much going on with Bitcoin, especially here in El Salvador. Why El Salvador? Why it's Bukele? I know you mentioned Trump and you mentioned other nations, but why El Salvador and Bukele also bought Bitcoin for El Salvador? And I think at one point he gave citizens of El Salvador, I don't know the amount, I can't remember the amount in Bitcoin in a wallet. Um, is it tender here in El Salvador? Is it something I can use to pay? Can I use it on my daily life? Can I buy groceries? Is it something I can use?
Yeah, good question. If anybody was paying attention, 2021, Bukele brought in Bitcoin as legal tender, and there was a huge array made about it. A lot of people came down to El Salvador, people moved here, and they're still living here. People came to use it. Companies came to local towns and started distributing Bitcoin across the town. Bukele realized the power of Bitcoin. He realizes how huge it is, how it has a future in this world, and he wanted to bring El Salvador into the future, and he's done that with other aspects like AI and with schooling and everything. He understands that, and he gave everyone $30, and everybody can downloaded the wallet, could use it in stores in different places, and there was a lot of hullabaloo, let's say, a lot of excitement over Bitcoin during 2021, and it dissipated over time. But you can come here to El Salvador, and you can pay for your gas in Bitcoin. You can pay for your haircut in Bitcoin. Go to the restaurants, have stays in hotels if you want. There's hotspots within El Salvador that you can go and you can use Bitcoin everywhere. El Zonte down by the beach, in Berlin, up in the mountains. It's really hot in certain areas, but in a lot of areas, ignorance still exists with regards to Bitcoin. So you might not be able to use it as readily. But you can bring your Bitcoin down super easily, no problems, as much as you want. You can even build a house with Bitcoin. There's, hardware stores that accept Bitcoin, bricks, cement, sand, whatever. You can use your Bitcoin, and you can store it yourself securely. And that's a huge advantage.
Right. I think that's one of the things that we really want to talk about, ignorance, right, about the subject matter. Not knowing much, not having much information, not knowing how to move, how to go about opening an account, how to go about transferring money, how to go about buying Bitcoin. Is that something that you do? Do you run a course? Do you teach people how to do it? And we're gonna link his information to in our channel as well. But if someone wants to learn more, because there's now that now that it's coming out, I think there's more questions than answers to some extent. And it's a detailed information, it's a process, and it's dealing with money. It's not easy, right? Everyone's scared, everyone's skeptical. So how can someone navigate or start the process of learning about Bitcoin?
Well, first of all, I think it's totally normal to be scared, like especially with money that you've worked for,
Right.
you sweated for, and you don't want to lose. And you hear all these stories related to Bitcoin or
Right.
crypto where people have lost loads of money or exchanges have gotten hacked or gone down. And it's like, oh, why would I be safe with my Bitcoin? I don't know anything about it. And I understand that fear is totally understandable. There's a ton of content out there, but it's about discerning what is the right content to listen to, right? So you can always reach out to me. There will be my details on the YouTube, and I've got a website. You can check that out. You can reach out to me. I can send you content. I've got a PDF that will show. It's basically the Bitcoin estate planning playbook on how to be able to store your Bitcoin and let it last for a long time. That's the main thing.
Right.
And yeah, I'm doing a webinar coming up. It's going to be in Spanish, but I'm always putting out content which talks about Bitcoin specifically, how to use it properly, how to store it correctly. and how to bring it from one place to another, to El Salvador if you wanted to bring Bitcoin here, how to purchase it with your dollars,
Right.
and then how to make sure that it's not stolen, that it's not lost, that if there's a fire or there's a inundation, that your password doesn't get missing, that you can pass it on to your children or your next of kin easily. All of these services that require thought and a bit of planning, I'm always there to be able to help you through with any questions. And it's a pleasure to go through it. And there's plenty of people around you. Maybe in your community where you are, there's people who set up meetups where you can go and you can ask questions. So I recommend checking that out. And yeah, on X or online, there's certain people who are better to listen to others. So I do ask to reach out, and so we can help you discern who's best to listen to.
Perfect. With so much uncertainty going on in the financial arena everywhere globally, where you've been doing Bitcoin, you've been working on this for, this is your niche, this is your baby. Where is it coming from? Where is it now, and where do you see it going?
Okay, so Bitcoin started as something that was made by these cypherpunks, they're called, these people online that wanted liberty and they wanted to topple over the whole financial system, and they created this with the purpose of being the global money. Okay, and I know that sounds very grandiose and idealistic, but that's where it was born from. And the nature of it is that it's very small for a long period of time, and people started realizing how reliable it was, and how unchangeable it was, and how that it just worked, as a savings vehicle and as a money. And as time goes by, the more time that goes by, the more reliance that people have on Bitcoin, because they know it lasted this much. It's now a $1.5 trillion asset. It's now being used across the globe. For anyone moving from one country to the next, it's usually the easiest and cheapest way to move funds. It's now being used by families, individuals, churches, businesses, nation states, NGOs across the globe as part of their asset portfolio. And the main thing that's stopping people from having more Bitcoin is mainly ignorance. So as this gets dispelled, or as people start to understand it a little bit more, where it's coming from, its purpose, and how to use it properly, it's going to be accepted much more for goods and services, for products, for businesses, and people will want to hold it more and to use it to purchase these goods and services. We'll start seeing it being replacing dollars and more the other currencies first, and then over time, I feel like people will realize that there's only one game in town. And that's Bitcoin. That's where I believe it's going, and that's for everyone to find out themselves, not to take my word for it, but actually to do the investigation.
Definitely, thank you. And I think a lot of that's going on, a lot of lack of knowledge. I think you keep using that word, and myself included, Alvarenga Family Tours included, right? We did not know much about Bitcoin. We're still learning with Charlie. Thanks to Charlie. For our audience out there who is retiring, has retired, they have savings, and still doubtful, still don't know how to go about, what do you think would be the first step besides getting to know some information or learning a little bit more? How do I go about setting up a platform? Everyone talks about these wallets. Everyone talks about these platforms. Is it safe? Can I do it? Do I need someone with IT to do it? Is it something that I can do myself?
It's actually pretty easy. Really good question. It's pretty easy. Buy a little bit of Bitcoin. Set up your bank account to an exchange. In the States, you have Strike, or in Canada, you have Bull Bitcoin. All across Latin America, you might have Strike or Bull Bitcoin as well. These are really good Bitcoin-only apps. In Europe, you have Relay or Coin Corner, or you have bringing Bitcoin as well. In Australia, you have Bitteroo or Amber. So all of these exchanges, depending on where you are, is where you can move your funds from your bank to Bitcoin. Once you have it on the exchange, I recommend to take it off. So you can download Blue Wallet on your phone, and it'll give you 12 words, which is your password. And that's what you keep safe. You make sure you keep that safe. And then you can remove your funds from the exchange, from the platform, onto your Blue Wallet, which you have control over because you have those 12 words.
Real quick, I don't want to interrupt you, but can I get hacked? Once I go through all this process, say, here I am, I retired, got my savings, I'm trying to live a better life, move to El Salvador or whatever I'm trying to move to. Can I get hacked? Once I open this up, I set it up the account. Can this be hacked?
Once you do the due diligence and the right steps in place, once you have your own, what they call a cold wallet, a device that is not connected to the internet, where that creates your account or your 12 words, your password. That's where you store your Bitcoin, in this device that's not connected to the internet. That's where you store the Bitcoin. Then you cannot digitally hack this device because it's outside of anything that's connected to the internet. Hacking requires the internet connection. So your Bitcoin is inherently never really connected to the internet. Okay, so that's or the keys to unleash your Bitcoin is never connected to the internet. So that's secure. And the difficulty of trying to hack that is so enormous. It's like bigger than the whole universe. To try and guess the number, that it's basically completely impossible to attain your Bitcoin over time. So yeah, you'd be much more worried about your bank getting hacked or your dollars losing value really quickly than your Bitcoin being
One
lost.
of the things that came up to my mind right now is that when I came from the U.S. to El Salvador, I think they asked me, do I have $15,000 or more in cash? Do I have something to report? With that device, cold wallet, right? I mean, so many terminology. We're gonna learn this terminology later on because there's so much to learn with Bitcoin. Can I bring $100,000 in that?
Totally legally as well.
And I'm not breaking any financial law, any
nothing.
countries.
All you're doing is you're moving capital from one country to another, and you do not have to declare what you have there. All it is 12 words. You can even memorize those 12 words in your mind. What can they do if you just have something in your head? Imagine having 100 grand in your head, $100,000.
Right.
You know, what are they going to do? You know, so totally legal. You can bring capital anywhere across the globe, and you're not going to be forced to have to give it up. There's constant examples of people fleeing countries or authoritarian regimes where the only way they could move their money was through Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do I pay taxes? Do I pay taxes in these transactions every time I move it? Is there taxes attached to Bitcoin?
Okay, so taxes is usually enforced by the government. So if you're from the States, there's capital gains tax related to Bitcoin. So if you buy it at a certain point of time and you sell it in the future at a higher price, you'll have to pay capital gains on the difference between those two prices. In El Salvador, if you have Bitcoin, you don't have to pay any capital gains tax, which is a huge advantage. So a huge advantage of coming here and storing Bitcoin over the long term, which is great. And then in different countries, different tax regimes acquired that you to pay certain taxes. In terms of fees, with regards to Bitcoin, there's these things called mining fees. When I send a transaction to you, I might have to pay a little fee of maybe right now 20 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents. But it doesn't matter if it's $5 or $5 million. It usually stays around those. So you can send $5 million for the cost of less than $1, which is a huge advantage.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much going on. I mean, honestly, it's just lack of knowledge, to be honest. And I'm thinking about, our audience who are trying to come and retire and bring their money, their hard worked, earned money. I think I'm thinking Bitcoin is the best strategy to do it, the best way to do it.
Yeah.
If someone wants to do that, and I know I briefly asked you before, but if someone wants to do that and they're still a little skeptical, they're still not sure how to go about that, what do you recommend? What does Schelling Point does for, or what would Charlie do for this person? If someone says, you know what, Jim, they reach out to Jim, to Alvarenga Tours, say, you know what, I want to start doing this. What would Charlie do for these people? Is there a course? Do you run classes? Do you have specific information on how to go about?
Yeah, so we hop on a call, and I ask, what are you guys, what are you looking for? What are your plans? What's your knowledge about this? Are you at zero, or do you have some experience with it? And then we go through, okay, what's the ideal situation for you? Do you need to move money down somewhere? Do you need to invest this money? Have you got a deposit in your bank and you don't know what to do with it? And I can walk you through easily, step by step, on how to be able to get those dollars into Bitcoin, store them securely, and have a plan for that Bitcoin for the long term. So you know where it is, how to access it, who has access to it, And then if something happens to you, have a plan for how that passes on to the next of kin. So I make sure that we go through all of this. We do live implementation sessions.
Cool.
And then I back that up with a PDF that has the risks involved with it, the steps to take, and all the tools that you need to be able to do that.
Excellent. And we're going to attach Charlie's information in our video. And if you need to contact Charlie, please feel welcome to do so. And if you need to get in touch with Charlie through us, also do that as well. We'll make sure that we'll connect you with Charlie. So lack of information, I think a lot of things are taking place and are happening right now with Bitcoin, especially in El Salvador and around the world. But lack of information, I think, is really stopping people from going forward, from really moving forward, taking that chance and taking that step. So you know what? Let me open an account. Let me open a wallet, a cold wallet. And this is all these terms that we're going to learn later on. Charlie, what would be the one thing that you would suggest for someone who's just happened to open our video and watched it and say, you know what? I'm still have questions. I still don't know if I can trust this. I still, look what happened to the market. Look what happened to the housing bubble. Look what happened to the dollar. Look what happened to whatever economy you're thinking of. What would be one suggestion they will give this person out there?
It's a really, really good question, Jim. And I would say remain curious about Bitcoin. Remain curious about what this is, because once you dig deep enough, you'll realize how much opportunity it's going to bring you. Have a look at where the dollar comes from and how the Federal Reserve works. I think that's the first step, always, to learn about the dollars that you're using or the money that you're using. Yeah. And once you start to learn about that, then you start to see the gaps in and why Bitcoin exists and why it serves you.
And I think that is the best thing to do, right? To really do your own research and realize that the dollar is not going to hold its value forever. And Bitcoin might be the best opportunity. Now, it might be a little hard to get on it later on.
The earlier the better. Everyone knows that in terms of investments. But I also suggest if you don't know about it, I don't suggest you put all your money into it without knowing about it. Invest in what you understand. And if your level of understanding is low, then your allocation should reflect that, essentially.
Excellent. I like that. Trying, testing it. Especially for our families out there who are retiring or are thinking about it, or are in that process, or even if you're working right now and you're thinking about, invest in some type of money elsewhere, Bitcoin might be the answer. Charlie, I really thank you so much for the opportunity and for the knowledge. I think it's so much knowledge and so much information that we still need to learn. We're still going to talk to Charlie more, but we want to invite you to feel welcome, to reach out, to get Charlie's information. We're going to put all the information on YouTube and on the channel. And Charlie, one of the things I'm trying to do now in our channel is leaving you space and time to address the audience. However you want to close, it's your time to shine and tell them whatever you want to tell them. It might not have to be Bitcoin related, whatever you feel like it.
Okay. Well, Jim, thank you very much for the questions. They're spot on, and this opportunity to shine. This is an honor to be on the channel. And guys, if you've listened to this far, well done. That's a lot of information packed in. I just wanted to say thanks to God for everything that we've been given. It's an absolute honor to be able to wake up every day and to be able to work in what we're doing, and to have a look at the philosophical reasons of the impact of you holding the money that you're holding, and what does it mean to use a dollar or hold it in the bank account? And who are you giving power when you're doing it? Like, where is that money funding? How are you enabling any funding through that? And then Bitcoin, from my experience, is just and it's fair. And this is what allows, for us to go into a fair economy and just commerce. And I think it will bring more trust in the world. I really do. I've already seen it in place with my own family. And I think it's good under the eyes of God. It's a just and fair weights. If you look at, false weights is an abomination to the Lord. So Bitcoin brings that back into perspective. So yeah, thanks for everything, guys. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Rosita. This has been just such a journey.
Thank you. No one could have said it better than Charlie. So thank you, everyone. Take care and stay tuned. Charlie, thanks a lot. That was